let's talk a little bit about asset characteristics and then dive deeper into these market types and see which type of assets seem to trade in which types of markets and why. So the three asset characteristics we're going to talk about are liquidity, which we have a pretty decent idea about, fungibility, and fungibility has to do with whether or not the asset is identical, whether every single one is identical. Houses are not fungible, stocks are fungible. And the next one is information asymmetry. And this is sort of a weird thing. This has to do with the difference in information content between the buyer of the asset and the seller of the asset. And the classic example is a used car. The owner of a car knows far more about the buyer of the car. And so there's a huge amount of information asymmetry in this market, potentially. And this potential information asymmetry causes market frictions. It means that people don't always get as much money as they would like to get from their car. So, for example, if I'm going to look at two cars and one could be good and one could be bad, and I just have no way to tell, then I'm going to end up paying likely a slightly lower price for both just in case it's bad. And this is a friction in that the owners of the car, if who's kept the car in decent shape or has gotten lucky and the car's in decent shape, can't get as good a price as they would like to get for their car because of this potential information asymmetry. There could be information asymmetry in stocks, meaning that you know more about Apple stock than I do, but that's my fault, right? There's just I could read, I could look it up as well, and so generally information asymmetry refers to not an absolute difference in information between the buyer and the seller, but a difference in information that can't be solved. Okay, without using one of these market mechanisms. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the market for used cars, and we're going to talk about how we might solve some of these costs associated with trading. And we'll consider the market for used cars, and later we'll relate this to securities, but for now, we're going to think about the market for used cars. And do used cars have dealers or do used cars have brokers? Well, they have dealers. There exist auto dealers, and they stand ready with capital to buy cars and to warehouse them until sellers come. And the question is, what is it that the dealer provides? What does the dealer provide to this market to make it so that we pay the dealer? How does the dealer get paid? Oh, the dealer buys the car at the bid and sells it at the ask. Let's say that again. So meaning that if I go to a dealer with my car and I want to sell it, and let's assume that the car is worth $20,000, the dealer is going to pay me $18,000 and they are going to sell it for $22,000, and that $4,000 is the dealer's profit. And the theory is that I could just sell it to some other person for $20,000, but I don't do that. I mean, at least not everybody does that because we observe car dealers. People will sell the car to the car dealer for $18,000, and other people will buy the car from the car dealer for $22,000. And the question is why? What does the dealer provide? The way to think about it in the example that we're talking about is that the dealer is willing to pay $18,000 for a car, and the dealer will sell a car for $22,000. If I wish to sell a car, I'm going to get paid $18,000, and if you wish to buy a car, you have to pay $22,000. And so the bid-ask spread in this particular case is 18 at 22, and the dealer gets to earn that spread, and the question is why? What does the dealer provide to the used car market in order to earn that spread? Car dealers, used car dealers, stand ready to buy the asset, take physical possession of it, and then wait and then sell it to a seller. So they're not brokers, they are dealers, and they earn a profit. They earn the spread. We said that they pay $18,000, sell for $22,000, so they earn $4,000, and they provide three main benefits to the car market to earn this profit. First is they mitigate search costs. So for buyers of cars, they can go to a single place and see lots and lots of cars. Second is they provide liquidity to the seller in that they stand ready with cash, with capital, to purchase the cars, and so the seller can get cash right away. The third thing they do, and that's the interesting thing here, is they mitigate the information asymmetry problem. Remember, the idea is that the seller of a car knows far more about the quality of the car than the buyer of the car. And in a sales transaction, if I'm selling a car to you directly without a dealer involved, and it's a, well, we use the terminology, it's a lemon instead of a peach, and you end up overpaying for a bad car, well, even if it's accidental or if it's intentional, it doesn't really affect me because I'm out of the used car market. And so if my reputation for selling bad used cars doesn't matter because this is not a repeated game. And so for a dealer, it is a repeated game. They have to maintain this reputational capital for providing good knowledge about the quality of the product that they are selling. And so they will assess the quality of the car. And so let's assume that a poor car is worth $15,000, a medium car is worth $20,000, and a good car is worth $25,000. Well, if I drive my car onto the lot, they will assess it. And if they think it's a bad car, instead of paying for the $20,000, paying me $18,000, we'll keep the spreads the same. For a $15,000 car, they'll pay me $13,000 and sell it for $17,000. And if it is a medium car, then they'll pay me $18,000 and sell it for $22,000. And if it's a high quality car, they'll pay me $23,000 and sell it for $27,000, if $25,000 is the midpoint. If the midpoints are that $15,000, that $20,000, and that $25,000. And because this is a repeated game for them, because they need to maintain this reputation, they are incented to actually solve this information asymmetry by using their expertise. And so these are the three main benefits that car dealers mitigate. The three main benefits that car dealers provide. First is they mitigate search costs. Second is they provide liquidity. And third is they mitigate this information asymmetry problem in which the seller of the asset knows more about the quality than the buyer of the asset. And we'll see that this actually applies to some different types of securities, and we'll talk about those in a second. And this idea of what dealers provide to a market was first discussed in 1970 in a paper by George Akerlof and the Market for Lemons. So it's a very famous paper. He won the Nobel Prize for it. And again, we're going to apply these ideas to securities.